Welcome back to Stationeers, and you'll see I've started to extend this wall, and we're going to extend the ceiling as well, probably all the way over there, so eventually our solar panels will become the roof essentially over that section. So if we just, whoops, I'm going to step onto here for a second, you'll see my batteries are okay-ish, but that's because it's daytime. At nighttime we still got a problem, and that solar generator thing, solid generator even, bothers me a little bit. In that it's using up quite a lot of coal, and I do mean really quite a lot of coal. So I was just wondering if there's anything more efficient, and we can use the gas generator. Now that has changed fairly recently, so we can't just drop it down and attach it to that hose over there. You'll see, and the whole reason I was looking at this is I was wondering what we could replace that furnace with in the corner. And since we don't need that anymore, once I pull the furnace out, we've essentially got then, on our input pipe at least, this one, we've got a supply of hydrogen and oxygen. Really nice fuel. So I know this sounds a little bit roundabout, that I've replaced the furnace that I'm using fuel for with something that uses the atmosphere, but then we're going to use the fuel to make more power, so it sounds a little bit more circular, but if I remember correctly, gas generators are really quite good at generating power for very little gas. I've just resisted until now because solar panels really are free energy, and if you don't want us to do this setup, by all means continue to just add solar panels. This isn't so much an always on kind of generator that we want to use, but something that is going to detect how much power we have, and if it drops it'll turn on and we'll get a boost of power. So here we are with let's have a look. So 1000 moles of H2 and 500 moles of O2. Cool. That should be enough for us to do stuff with. So what do we want to build then? Well, first of all, do I have a gas generator? I'm almost sure I printed one at some point. Do I have atmospherics? No, it's not you. Is it in the other locker? Let's take a quick look. Centrifuge? No, we'll need that for recycling though. I have to remember that's an auto lathe. Is it in our vending machine? Cable coil, filters, doors, walls. Gas fuel generator. Vend. Okay, so here you'll see the gas fuel generator, and if I just drop that down for a second, it seems relatively straightforward. And in fact, you can't see its inputs because it's just below the grating here. But there's basically an input and an output pipe. I think it's on this side, and then we've got our usual power connectors on this side, if I remember rightly. So it's saying gas fuel generator requires an atmosphere of 20 kPa at pretty much room temperature is this. So 5 degrees up to about 27, so it's about 50 degrees, 50 odd degrees, 53, 54, something like that. And if we are able to do that, then we can then feed this with fuel. And by fuel, it means a hydrogen and oxygen mix. Now, I've said this before on the series, and that we can get oxygen by growing plants, but we can't get hydrogen anywhere. So this method of power generation will use up resources, which is why I don't want it on all the time. Even though it only uses a small amount of resources, that's still resources I have to go and mine at the end of the day. So we're going to have to set up somewhere to put that. And in fact, actually, it might be this way around. The pipes might be on the back there. Let's just actually move this to somewhere more more permanent, maybe. So if we have it over here somewhere, we might want to put it, our fuel is going to come in from this direction, and then the waste is going to be more hot fuel, the hot remnants essentially. So we may have to think about doing that. I want to leave enough room for more batteries up to that wall, so let's leave a gap there just in case I need it. So maybe if we think about putting in a chamber, and you can see there that where the ports are, and maybe thinking about putting a chamber around about here. Might be a bit too close to the back. Is that the middle? Yeah, I can only do that or right at the front, so let's just move it a little bit to the front. How does that look? That's not too bad, because then at least I can see the pipes at the back if I need to actually get to them. Okay, so now we can we can also think about putting more generators in here, gas fuel generators if we wanted to. I think this one's going to be enough, but I'll leave space anyway. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put some frames up there to make this too high at least, and then maybe put walls, just like we've got in our arc furnace, just down here. Same kind of walls, except 3 wide and 2 tall. And then I won't bother filling them in for now with glass frames, but you get the idea, so that we're surrounding this. So let me go and put those bits in, and then we'll continue. Okay, so hopefully now you get an idea of what I'm actually going for. Just like the other unit over there, these have the sort of exterior facing inwards. So they, if you have a look, they're in the inside of that block space, so that we can build stuff up right up to the edge of them, like this floor grating, without much of a problem. In fact, I'll probably put some floor grating down on the inside as well once we're done, just to make it blend in. And then we've got the gas generator itself. So, and this is obviously not going to turn on because there isn't any gas in it yet. However, just a quick thing that I wanted to mention. If this is going to be the port that the power comes out of, we're going to need to feed it in to the back of these, not the front, because we need to feed it into the input of the batteries. That just means that we need to be a bit careful about what we do with this data port. So what I thought we'd do with the data port is just send it around back and send it that way, because we're going to want to probably control this somewhere, and having it, oh, that's a bit of a bug. If you jump when you step over those, you jump quite a lot. Yeah, so we probably want it coming back here, and then maybe having our electronics on the wall or something along those lines, because we're going to need to control this remotely. This room will be sealed once we've got it going, and that in turn will mean we'll have to monitor a whole bunch of stuff. Probably we need to see what the temperature and pressure is going to be in here, because we're going to need to regulate it to what this is asking for. So 20 kPa or higher, so 20 kPa will do fine, or 21 kPa or something. And it doesn't have to be a particularly friendly atmosphere, it can be CO2, and we've already got CO2 systems elsewhere, so we may as well continue using that. In fact, we can probably just leave it to the atmospheric stuff, you know, just the same as what we have out here. So if we're going to do that, we're going to need a few bits and pieces, aren't we? One, I've started printing off heavy circuitry, because the output of this thing produces a lot of power. So depending on how you actually do this, what I'm probably going to do is run it along the back there, so that I can actually get this in future. So we're going to have to come out twice, unfortunately, if we're going to go that way. And then we can probably send, well, I don't think we're going to deal with really high temperature in here, so we don't necessarily need heavy cable. But is it worthwhile? Yeah, non-heavy cable is a lot cheaper, so let's just actually, let's not do that. And we'll just save the heavy cable for this, as long as we have enough room to maneuver with the light cable. That's the main thing. And we'll just run this out here, and then we're just going to run it down that direction. And yes, I know this is more cable than I actually should be using at this point, perhaps, but it just means I don't have to move it later once I build more batteries. And I've shut off the furnace system at the moment because I don't need the alloys, and it should be slow enough at depleting the heat that it'll be fine. And this will just mean that I don't have to go and put more coal in when I'm heating the other system up. Because what I'm going to be doing with the other system as well is I'm going to be putting a lot more gas into that storage tank over there that's inside our hot room. And to do that, well, we need to have that heater running constantly, and I don't want to keep going out there for getting more and more coal. We need to do this, and this is quite efficient in use, I believe. So well, we'll give it a go anyway. And if someone wants to comment on whether we can get it even more efficient, feel free to comment, because hopefully you should be able to get an idea of what I'm actually doing. One there, and finally. Okay, so that should be the input coming from this, and we can just put that there for now. let's just shut this off for the moment, because we may not even need more heavy cable, but yeah, we have some in reserve. And then light cable will run this around the back, so this again will be quite simple. We are going to want to also put a gas sensor in here, so that is worthwhile putting on the wall somewhere. We're going to need wall heaters just to keep... the wall heaters, I'm not sure whether we're going to need them long term, because I get the feeling that this thing will probably heat up its room quite well. And if that's the case, we're probably just going to be evacuating stuff. But the wall heater should be in there in case we evacuate too much and it drops below 20 kPa and it might start fighting itself. So we might need some independent systems to keep this going. We're also going to want a system to make sure it stays on, but that is a different kind of circuit that we can have a look at. So that is going to be straightforward. I'm going to want a T-junction here. Yeah, T-junction, I think, because I'm going to run straight pipe into both of those. And in this case, I'm just going to run a gas sensor up the wall, because I may also put another generator here later. So that actually might be problematic. No, it'll be fine, I think. Maybe it might be interfering with this if it's there. I'll think about I'll think about other ways of doing it later if we have to. It's no big deal if we have to basically, you know, knock a wall through to amend this system. And yeah, so let's put ourselves a sensor there. So we want a are we going to need anything to do with daylight? We could put a daylight sensor in there as well, and also trigger that only at nighttime, with the assumption that, you know, you're only going to need it at night. But I think we can just go off the amount of power in our batteries, and if we drop too low in those, we'll turn it on regardless, and we'll have a manual override and or gate, something like that, to make it so it can be manual or automatic, and we'll leave it on automatic at that point once we've got the rest of the circuitry in. What else am I looking for here? Sensors, wasn't I? So sensors. And yeah, let's just print off a couple of those. I made another one later, so one, and switch that across. Going to be using a gas sensor, as you might imagine, and flip that. Well, actually, they've been auto-rotating all the things now, so we just press V for almost everything. I just wish you could just hold V and then for it to, you know, do things without having to let go of V and repress V. But other than that, this should all be okay. So let's just finish the rest of this line. We just want some straight cable back going this way, and probably straight out like this, and we'll put it going that way. There we go. Pretty cool. We've got the sunset just appearing through. And then we've got to think about fuel. So that fuel line is going to have to come all the way from over there. I'm not going to do that on camera because that's going to be a lot of pipe. But we're going to need a regulator. Yes, and where should we put that regulator? The reason why you want a regulator is you don't want to try and pump in that amount of fuel. Even with a small amount of fuel being pumped in, you can, depending on the mix of the fuel, you can apparently overload any cable connected to this. Yes, so I don't want to do that particularly when I've actually built this up. So we're going to want a regulator for the input, and we can put it probably back out here somewhere. That seems to be the most easy option. Have we got room back here? We're just going to run the pipe all the way along this line here. So if we have a regulator somewhere around here or something like that, or even here, so we can get to it with our controls, that will be useful. Although we may not need controls, we can probably just set it manually. Okay, I'm going to go and run a bunch of pipe now. Okay, so I've got most of the pipe run. I'm just going to connect this up to this side. The input is on the back left as you look at the front of it, so let's just get that sorted. There we go. And we can place the rest on the outside. You'll see I've placed a regulator. Make sure you place the regulator before you put the rest of the pipe in, because that's going to hold back all the rest of the fuel in our case. I did do that the wrong way around, so I'm having to redo this pipe work, but that's not terrible. Not too much of an issue. Just a couple more. Okay, so if we get our computer right now. Yep, there's nothing in that pipe. But that's exactly what we want to happen, because this is going to be what we use to start feeding stuff into our regulator. This episode, we're going to have it so that I can turn it on pretty much manually, and then we'll do some electronics next episode if possible. You'll see, because I've got my heater system off over there, this is nicely recharging, but that won't be the case when I turn the heater system back on again. So, yes, do we want to seal most of this off at the moment? Probably not. I'm just going to need to complete the rest of this pipe work here, which just means sending this, I want to say that way. And we just need to get out of the, there we go, just out of this huge box. We will also connect it to this tank, but this will just help me essentially read what's in there, and also if it's high temperature, high pressure stuff that's going to come out of this, then I want to know about it, and I want to know what the composition is. So that's going to look pretty good. What else do we need? So we're going to want some way of remotely turning this on and off, because it can't turn on at the moment, and it can't turn on until it has an atmosphere. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to need to heat it up. And we can do that manually, I suppose, to start off with. We don't need the electronics for the initial infrastructure build, just later on. There we go. Just later on for the electronics. So, wall heater. Do I have any spare ones of those? I've used like 6 in there. I assume I don't have any spare. Passive vents, floor gratings, you know, just miscellaneous litter around all over the place. Let's print off a wall heater. Is that in the pipe bender or is it in the electroprint? Wall heater. There we go. Okay, just one of those. And we'll put that on the inside. We'll incidentally also connect that to this cable. It's not going to be on the inside. And in fact, we'll probably put it over here because it's a nicer place to put this. Yeah, it's going to be a bit close to the gas sensor though. Nah, let's just put it somewhere a little bit more sensible. Just for the gas sensor purposes more than anything else. And then we can just hook that up with a straight piece and a corner. And a T-junction. There we go. Do you turn on? Not yet, because this is not connected to the rest of our base yet. Which means I'm going to need to run a cable. Probably, where's my... It's going to have to go this way. Nope. I'm not connecting it to that line. Where? There we go. So yeah, we've got a line there that we can run in. And I need to put some more blocks here, but other than that, that's fine. I'll get those put down. All right, that's all powered now. So I'm just going to put a block up there for a second, a frame, and we should be able to use that to essentially build our filtration unit here. This is purely to get ourselves some atmosphere, so it's nothing excessive. And I'm going to bring power up there somehow, but that's fine. And then we can then deconstruct this again. Once I find the right tool, grinder. There we go. And I think we're also going to want to just remove this for a second as well, because we're going to need that block space. And then we should have access to the back of this for, yep, the power and the data. So we're going to have to run a cable up to those. Do I have any more cable without making any? I think I may have some in here. Do we have some cable? Cable. Probably not a full stack, but should be enough to keep us, yeah, there we go. 24 will do. I'll have to make a few more stacks and put them back in. But let's hook up those to the filtration unit. And with some more pipe and a couple of passive vents, we should be up and running with the filtration. Well, it's just basically a fancy pump at this point. So just auto rotate that. That's the output, and the input we're going to probably want to put outside because this is going to be a solid wall eventually. So let's just get that running outside. And for now, I'll just run it back in a loop around to where that solid block is. I don't need to really be too efficient with this for the moment. Let's just put that there. And then we'll just run some straight pipe at the back. If it isn't the jetpack, it's just me stepping off things that causes the issue. There we go. And we just run the corner that way. And just a couple of straight pieces. And the passive vent, will you just auto? Yeah, you will. Good. So we've got the passive vent, and let's just step down, drop that off. And will you now power on? No, you're going to need a waste pipe connected, aren't you? Even though we don't really have any filtration going. Fine. Can we just put a pipe and nothing else?
Hunger, caution.
Yes, we can. Just a pipe. And hunger. Let's go and get another snack bar. Cancel the pressurization. Shouldn't be terribly cold in here. Oh, it's really hot because I shut down the other system. Oh, that's not good. Oh, 267. Depressurize. Depressurize. Oh, let me out. It's too hot. Yeah, so I need to turn that cooling system back on. Oh, this is why the pollutant filter is gone. Let me just consume this bar, and yeah, these are both 0. Yeah, that's why. Yes, so that's what happens on Mars if you don't cool down your hydroponics area. So we want a couple of filter pollutants. We could go for the heavy filters, but let me just go for the light ones for the moment because they're cheap. Let's just get a couple of those and then step back from that system. And maybe, have I already put a temperature system on there? I thought I already had, but if not, we can do. Did I have a display back here for temperature, or was it for pressure? Why are you off? Yeah, that's something I should deal with. Okay, so with that system should come back on, and that temperature should be going down now. It is. Okay. That may take a little while. I need to build the recycling system for this. Remind me in an episode or 2 to build a recycling system. It's not all that hard. I've just got lots of this stuff just piling up. Okay, so where was I? Yes, so this will happily pump in. I think it's in from that side. Yeah, that's the input. And then we'll fill this with just atmosphere from the outside. So we don't need to worry about pressure. We just have to read it from this gas sensor. And then we just have to think about heating it up, which means we can just use the wall heater, at least, temporarily. So do I have just enough to seal this now? Turn you on. Okay. And do I have enough electronics to do all of that? Yeah, I can control that remotely, and I can control the filtration unit just by clicking it on. And then we can just read out the gas sensor, I think. Yeah, that should do. Let me, we can close this back off again now, I think. There we go. And we're pretty much ready to start this up. I'm just going to need some glass sheets. So that's going to need some silicone, which I can get there. And I think it's going to be 13. Oh, does it need some steel sheets first? Is it steel then? Let's just grab this for a second. Steel sheets. Yep. Let's just build the steel sheets and then some glass sheets so I can enclose it. And that's pretty much it for the build section, I think. I just want some diagnostic way of turning this on to start with, just manually. So let me just finish off this enclosure. Oops, slightly the wrong way around. I forgot that if you don't put a filter in this, it's actually all waste. So you need to just filter the waste side of things into here, not the output side. So let's just get rid of those three, and then we can just put it through on the inside, I think. Just with a straight. Oops, there we go. I'm stood on the edge, so it's not going to be as easy. There we go. And let's take that out. Put a corner back in. And just one more straight piece. There we go. And I can just get rid of that tool. Put this pipe back and then just finish off with that. Okay, so this is back enclosed again. I've got a couple of consoles here, just reading out the contents of that gas sensor. So if we turn this on now, oh, I need to put one pipe in, don't I? Otherwise it won't be too happy with me. I just need to, it's not going to have anything in it, but corner, let's just point it up for now, just in case I need to go through the roof. Okay, as you can see, that is now filling. Yep, so we need to get this up to 20, and we need to get this up. In fact, this temperature will be fine, but it's going to drop because we're about to hit night time. So that would turn on, were it not for the fact that this will drop. So we'll have to do a heating circuit of some kind. I'm just going to leave that going for a little while, and then we just want, I guess, before we get to automated electronics for this thing, we want some way of switching this on remotely and some way of switching this on remotely. So that just sounds like 2 switches and 2 writers. Is that going to be... Yeah, it's going to take a little while. So let's just tell this to build a couple of logic bits and pieces. So logic IO. Yeah. Build a few of those, and we'll have a couple of switches, and I'll just extend it over here just so I can throw a switch or something along those lines. 7 kPa. Won't take long to get to 20, even with our current setup. We want switches, don't we? Where's the switch? Yep. Are they fast building? No, they're pretty slow as well. So on this, we want logic writer. Logic writer, there we go. And can we actually, I can probably do it, will it fit here? Yeah, I think it will. Put one there, and then one, Does that need a block, or is that objective because of the tank? Yeah, it may not like the tank, it may not like the block. So let's just remove that for a second. I'll just run a cable over to the other side, and we'll put them, I don't know, efficiently we can just put them like this, I guess, and we can just put the switches directly below, which should now be finished, even if I've probably got a few spares. Doesn't much matter. You can always use extra ones of these. Are you nearly filled yet? Yeah, it's dropping to -7, of course. It's going to mirror this, so let's just throw a lever in there for both of them. Drop those off here. I'm going to need to print more cable, aren't I? But that is going to be fine. And we will just read from each of these. Input lever, and then I do need to connect the rest with cable. And that may need to go over the top, or I can run it down here and around. Okay, and for our manual version of this, we've got the one logic writer, lever, feeding the wall heater, which is now on. And this one is doing the same thing, but for the gas fuel generator, which is also on. I've turned on my heating system over there again, which will produce a power drain. See, I've got a couple of batteries out, and I just want to get this to the point where we can use it because it's just about to come daytime. I've turned off the filtration unit, and more importantly, back here, this regulator is now on, and it can be left on permanently, I think, because we can control the state of the gas fuel generator from here. So it should be getting to the point where it can be used, I hope. I put a gas cable analyzer display here, so actual is 7.6 kilowatts at the moment. So let's see what happens. Are you ready? It's above freezing. Let's give this a go, shall we? Open this up. And you've started. Okay. So 7.6, it's now 29. Oh, it's turned back off again. Is that just to do with the regulator at the back? Ooh, that's why. Okay, so yes. We're going to need to think about cooling the room. That's going to have to be next episode. But we did briefly get a burst of power. A lot of power. So it was like 26, so that's something like an extra 19-ish. Except that this room is now far too hot. We'd best turn off the wall heater then, hadn't we? So, yes, we've got to think about how we're going to keep this room cool. And for that, I will leave you with that challenge. We can, of course, just dump it back into the atmosphere. We can get rid of it that way. And let's just also, before I close off, just so you can have a think about it, let's have a look at this. So this pipe network, which is the output, is at minus 160.7. Really? Oh, I guess that's one way to super chill something, maybe? If that's then to minus 160 and the input is, what's the input at? Let's have a look over here. The input is at 5.3 degrees. Okay, that's interesting. So it super chills things, but the heat goes into the room around it. So we can either capture that heat some other way. We could put radiators in there, but that might be far too slow. So either I think we're going to have to respond to that temperature and immediately pull, maybe using another one of these filtration units on the other side or something, immediately pull the atmosphere out to lower it until its temperature drops, because we'll be pulling out hot air essentially, or hot carbon dioxide. And then this system will have to trigger automatically to continually feed cold air back in. All right? Maybe you have a better solution. I don't know. Do you want to suggest it? If you so, want to put it in the comments. Otherwise, we've essentially got something that can boost our power quite significantly if we can get the thing up and running. And let's just put in a couple more pieces of flooring. And that's looking pretty good now. Our base is sort of filling itself out. I think I'm going to put this on the inside of the base, actually. Just have this in a base within a base, almost, so we can have our CO2 atmosphere out here eventually if we pressurize this. And our hot CO2 in there, and maybe eventually we just remove these walls. But we're still going to need sunlight, so if we're going to do that, I'm going to have to put windows up there if we decide to enclose the whole thing later, but that's for much later in the series. So, hope you enjoyed this episode. We've got power boosting capabilities without going to look for coal, and again, that didn't use much of our fuel at all. So we're no longer going to need that fuel for the furnace, which means that fuel we can use for power boosting. So if you like the episode, feel free to like, subscribe, share, etc. We'll see you next episode for some more Stationeers, and as always, guys, thanks for watching.